Hello everyone. In this video, I will tell you how we can monitor the real-time performance of our laptop or our computer and see. Actually, we can also use this application to, kind of troubleshoot different problems or different services that are actually hindering the process of the performance of our system. So this performance tab, it's available in the task manager of Windows 10. It's very similar to the task manager performance tab of Windows 8. And it has kind of these four sub tabs inside it: CPU, memory, disk, Wi-Fi, and GPU. Actually, you can have more network tabs also below, sub tabs below, uh, Bluetooth, etc., or with whatever network types that you are using. So as you all know that it's how this is the simple task manager that is available on every Windows machine, but we have this improved performance tab in Windows 10 and 8. How we can open the task manager, most of you might know. I can show it to you again. Just close it. You can go to the taskbar on your Windows. Just right click here, and here is a task manager, and then you left click, and this task manager opens, and then you go to the performance tab. You can also, in the usual classical way, just press Control or Delete, and then you will get this option to select task manager. uh, or you can also use the keyboard shortcut Control plus Shift plus Escape, Control Shift Escape, to open this task manager also. Or you can simply write it here, task, in your apps, in your start search option, start menu in the search option, start the search option in the start menu, and then you will get this task manager. So now let's talk about our performance tab in a bit detail. So you see here, now we also see the Bluetooth pen. So first of all, on this left side, all these submenus, you can change the view of these submenus. Right now, for example, I removed the graphs view. I can click here, show graphs, for example. You will see the graphs. You can click here and hide graphs, and then you will not have the graphs view. You will simply have the percentage of the usage of the CPU, memory, or disk, and the speed. Uh, See, this is the speed of the CPU at which it is working. Now, if you click switch graph, you will find this graphs view on the left side, where you see these smaller versions of the same graphs that you can see on the right hand side. And you can also click on the summary view, and then you will have a smaller version of this whole window. Let me show you like this. You see, so you can tap it anywhere. For example, if you are troubleshooting some service or some applications or something, you can simply pin this on the top, adjust it somewhere, and then see how your troubleshooting is affecting the performance, CPU performance, memory performance, or disk performance, or your network performance. uh, so let's close it and get it bigger again. So you just click here again, right click. This right click is not working. Yeah, I got this summary view. Just click it back, and you will get the whole bigger performance tab view again. So now let's talk about all these submenus in detail. So we talk about the first component. This is CPU, and this is the CPU graph. So first of all, if you see on this top right corner, on the right side, you see you see which kind of CPU is installed on your laptop or your computer, and what's the speed of this CPU. This is 2.0 gigahertz. It's an It's an Intel Core i3 processor with this serial number. And actually the CPU component, gives you information about the resource utilization and about the process, the details about, the processor details, you can say. For example, if you go here on the bottom, you see uh, this utilization, this percentage of utilization is actually the overall utilization, which is also shown in this graph over a 60-second period of time, overall utilization of your processor, you know. Uh, this 1.98 gigahertz is the speed of the processor. Uh, and then you have processes, how many processes are running, the number of threads that are running, and handles. And you have this cache informations. You have three kind of caches. This is the size of the caches. Virtualization is enabled, and enabling of the virtualization, it shows that this CPU or processor can run virtual machines on it. And then we have the information about the number of cores. It has two cores. uh, and yeah, so this is overall information about the CPU component, of this performance tab. Now we go to our next component, which is the memory component. So there are two graphs on this right side in this memory component. One graph is a 60-second memory usage graph on a 60-second, in an interval of 60 seconds. And then the second smaller graph is, graph about the memory composition. So if you click over here, it shows you, a memory used by processor, drivers, and the operating system. On the top right corner, you see this 8.0. 8.0 is the total amount of memory that is, available in this system. And then you have in use, you have 2.28 gigahertz. You have 5.8 to 5.0 GB gigabyte, not gigahertz, gigabyte available. And then you see here the speed at which this memory chip is performing, the number of slots that are being used. We are using actually 2 out of 4 slots there, so there are two more available slots of memory on our system, so we can add more memory to the remaining 2 slots. And then we have a form factor. So this hardware reserved is another very important information. This shows that how much of this memory, this 8.0 GB memory, is being used by the hardware, like by the BIOS, or it's also being used. For example, if you have some devices, peripheral devices installed on your system, they need also drivers, so these drivers are also using this memory. So BIOS plus the drivers, for our peripheral devices. So this memory 133 MB is reserved for that. So we now let's get back to our graph. So this graph, as you see here, and this number, it shows the first graph that the memory in use is 2.7, 2.8 gigabytes in the last 60 seconds. And this second smaller graph is the memory composition graph, as I said before. This memory composition graph, has two parts, the darker parts and the lighter part, and it shows that the amount of memory that is being used by the processes and the drivers and the operating systems. You see the memory, if you cover it here, it shows memory used by processes, drivers, and operating system. So you see we are using this part of the memory, and this lighter part shows that you see these all these megabytes, 2340 and these 2770 megabytes, they are in standby. Sorry, this part is the standby memory. This part and this part is the free memory that is not used at all, and this darker part is the memory being used. Now let's go to the next component, which is the disk component.
component shows the the hard drives that are installed on your system. So this on the right, top right side is the name or the type of our hard drive that is available on the system. Actually, if you have more than one hard drive types, you will have more than one components here for the hard drives, because this performance tab doesn't group all of the hard drives into one. It will show a different sub tab for each of the hard drives on your system. But as on my system, there is only one hard drive available, so that's why it's showing only one component. Let's go to the right side. So we have here two graphs. One of the graph. This top graph is actually showing the percentage of the time the disk is processing the read or write requests, or you can say in simple words the percentage of your disk utilization. So right now it's almost 0, 21%, 8%. So it's very less disk percentage of the disk being utilized. And this is a smaller graph which shows the activity time, the time the your over the last 60 seconds, how much your disk was active. You can see, you can say, or the kind of or the speed at which your disk is operating. You can say like the transfer speed, in which your disk is reading or writing data over transfer speed, of course, per second, but over a period of 60 seconds. So uh, that's what this is showing, you see. So this upper graph is showing the active utilization, active time, or the utilization of your disk, and this is the slower graph is showing the speed at which your disk is performing. You see, this is the read speed, 0 kbps, the write speed, and the above is active time or average response time, whatever. Here we have some other information below. You see the capacity. This is the capacity of our hard disk, 932 gigabytes, almost 1000 gigabytes. And yeah, that's it. Now let's go to our next let's go to our next component, which is the network. As we hover here, we see it shows the information that it's a send and receive. This tab gives send and receive information of our network. Of course, we can have more than one networks, but right now I am only connected to the Wi-Fi, so it's only showing this one graph. Otherwise, we will have other sub tabs for other network, you know other networks that we are connected to. So this Wi-Fi is actually, component is showing me the link speed, or with how much data is being sent or received, and with which speed the data is being sent or received over the period of last 60 seconds. So this is the main information that we can extract from this network subtab. So that's actually more or less uh, what you need to know about the performance tab of the task manager. Of course, historically we have been using a lot these processes. This have you have seen with almost every version of the Windows, this processes tab in the task manager. Here you can see that the apps that are running, and you can have the information in a more tabular format for each app. It's like a database table. You can say how much CPU is, for example, this particular app is using, how much memory usage, how much is the disk kind of usage or performance for this app, and the network. And so for each of these apps you can have a detailed information in the process